Hey there, hi there, ho there, you beautiful, ravishing viewers of the Gathering of the Griot Show. I'm Asada, and we are happy to have you here again on a Tuesday. And boy, do we have a great show today. Ooh, Pamela D, author, is the bomb. But before we start, we got a couple of things. Let's first give homage to the female solution, because that's what we're a part of, the female solution. And you know what that is? If you don't, take a look.
Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the female solution.
All right, there we have it. So, yes, indeed, we have such great things coming to the table today. First, before we get to my beautiful author, Panther, my girl Pamela, the author, we are gonna do our hashtag Title Tuesday celebration. Yeah, we got titles, more and more titles. We're over 100 titles now for the August 9th book fair. And so let's just look at who we are bringing to the table today. Now, I'm gonna move my logo so we can see happy hashtag Title Tuesday to Native Invisibility by Darren Collins. And next, Oh Daddy, You've Shown Me by my girl Hope Kyle. Then we got Doing Me by our author today, no doubt, Pam D, author. And then Beast of Beauty by LaPonda Mason. Happy hashtag Title Tuesday. House Devoid of Love, baby, by Pamela D, author again. We're gonna see more about that book in just a minute. Happy hashtag Title Tuesday. Marvin's Treasure Hunt, also by my girl, Pamela D, author. Happy hashtag Title Tuesday for that. These are all gonna be at the August 9th book fair, you guys. Then we got Premium Quality Word Search by Peggy Colbert. And then she got My Dog Neighbor Word Search. Ooh, good word search poems for the young ones. Happy hashtag Title Tuesday. And then we're looking at Runner's High by my man Rashawn Bolden. New to the table. Brothers are coming on in. And then lastly for today, happy hashtag Title Tuesday to my man Corey Hops. Freedom Summer is his book. Fiction writers are doing the doggone thing. Let me let you know. They are in effect mode. So thank you so much for paying homage. And you can come to the August 9th book fair. We'll talk about it a little bit later and see all those titles and more. But without further ado, I'm going to bring my girl Pamela, author, to the table because she's ready to roll. How are you, my dear?
Good morning.
Hey, good morning. We done had good morning. We done been together last night and we got it all good. So I'm happy to have you here today. And so you've been around in our family for quite some time in the book fair. What was your first time? What was the first year you were a part of us? Do you remember?
I believe it was 2018.
2018.
Yes.
And a lot happened that year too. You not only were in the book fair, but you were in some of our other events, and we'll get to talking about that in a minute. But where are you from originally? Tell us where you're from, and then we're going to get into the books and what they are.
Okay, I originally was born in California, outside of LA, in Culver City. Okay. And I stayed there till I was around 7 years old, and then I moved to Chicago where I was raised. So this is basically my home, Chicago area.
Okay, I didn't know you was a Cali girl. I didn't know that. Okay, cool. Now, your books, I know you as a children's author, but I know you from House Devoid of Love, which we'll deal with in a minute. Yeah. But you have chosen to do school age books. So tell us a little bit about what grade your new books are for and sort of what's your goal with those books.
Well, my goal is to introduce early readers, both at ages, I'll say 4 through maybe 9 or 10 years old. And those years are the impressionable years that I think that children grasp things and they learn and they can remember things throughout the rest of their life from what they learn in that age group.
Okay. Now, but what made you choose that group? Because you weren't writing for them at first. What made you say, you know what, I need to write for a younger group of people?
Well, children has always been my passion. For my home child care business, um, I've always written children's manuscripts, but I never really published anything. But my goal, my dream was always to become a children's book author. And so, but I'm delayed because I never really pursued it until now. But that has always been my passion, was to be a children's book author.
Okay. Now, tell us a little bit about our man right here, Doing Me. What is this book about? What were you working to focus on or accomplish in doing this particular book? And I do see you have a dedication here.
Yes.
I think it says, in loving memory to your mother,
Yes.
who always, it says, she always supported your writing journey. Talk
Yes.
a little bit about that first.
Well, rest in peace. My mother passed away 7 months ago. And when I wrote this book, and I said, I know I have to dedicate this book to her, because she just took the book when the book first came out. She just took it and just ran and just gave it to all her friends. She bought the book, here, here, here. She wasn't trying to sell them to anybody. She just wanted everybody to know that, my daughter is, she writes. And my mother just loved that. She just loved when you do anything creative, writing, any crafty things, anything that's entrepreneur, in the entrepreneurship. And so, but she always supported me in my writing. Um, and, she was just very proud.
And you actually have a support. That's good, because not all family members are supportive, number one.
Yeah.
But beyond just her support, I see you got some other support. Who in the world is this?
That's my son.
Okay. And I think he had a post that talked about how this was your book, and talk a little bit about his involvement with you.
Well, parents do sometimes get advice from their children. And my son has a mind that is artistic, and he's very good with analyzing things and how to put things together. Um, and he helped me when I had doubts, and I always run everything by him when I wrote. And I said, well, check this out. What do you think about this cover? What do you think about this? And he's very supportive. Every time I put something out, his page, he put it on his Facebook page, and he'll have numerous friends supporting. And I mean, he's just really, really proud, because he said that for me to get out there at my age, I inspired him. And so that's why I continue to do things, because that's what I want to do. I want to continue to inspire my children.
Nice. That's what I'm talking about. It's nothing like when you do have a child that supports what you do. When I have the book fair, my daughter always runs our booth, sells our books, and it does make a difference. And whether we know it or not, we actually do impact their ability to see that it can be done, and that you don't even have to say nothing, but they are observing how you're interacting and what you're doing. So that's beautiful. So now talk a little bit about the book, Doing Me. Why the theme, and what's the book about?
Well, the book is about children having confidence. Children need to have confidence to do the things that they want to do in life. You got to instill into them that it's okay to be you. Okay. This is about a 9-year-old boy who had this full of energy, and it was the first Saturday on the summer school vacation, and he was out early. And he was just trying to find things to do, because he was just very energized, and it just didn't matter what it was. He just wanted to just go out there and do him. But unfortunately, his friends couldn't come out that early. So he was basically kind of like bummed out, because he really didn't know what he wanted to do, or was there anything for him to do, until his mom said, we have this summer festival parade that's coming down our way for the first time this summer. So she took him to the parade, and in the background. You see him in the background dancing to the parade, the music and everything. He was just doing him. But then here come a parade person on stilts, saw him on the sidelines just doing him. And he encouraged him to come out into the parade field and dance with them. And he was hesitant because he was first he was intimidated because of the man on the stilts, and he saw the man dance and everything, and he was like, I can't dance like you. I don't have the legs like you. So the man on the stilts got down to his level and said, you can do it. Just go ahead and do you. Just go ahead. And then the little boy, then he just did him, and he felt so good because he actually got that energy out there. He's suppressed when he couldn't his friends couldn't join him early in the morning outside. And that's the premise of this book. Do you have that confidence? Because a lot of kids have confidence to do things, but they have things that intimidate them. But I just want the children that read the book to know that it's okay to be me. I'm energized. I like to dance. I like to read. I like to whatever it is that they like to do. And that's the meaning of the book.
Excellent. I love that. Now you said he was like a 9-year-old boy. So is this book written for that age group, or what are the age groups that?
Well, it could be from 8 to 12. It's like it could be 8 for 12. It's more like an early reader, but it could go up to 12, age 12.
Okay, excellent. And now, how long has that book been out?
About 8 months.
Oh, it's a newbie.
Yes.
Oh, I gotta write that down. We're celebrating new authors at the book fair on the 9th. So that's excellent. Okay, good to know. Yeah. And so it's new to even your audience. Like we haven't had a whole slew of 8 or 9-year-olds yet getting the book, but we're gonna work on that big time. Okay, excellent. So you did that book, and then you have another book. This book here. Marvin's Treasure Hunt. What is that about? And which one came first?
Doing Me came first. Marvin's Treasure Hunt is my newest book. That's probably been out maybe like 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that.
It's around the same age group. It's Marvin. He stayed with his uncle because his parents went out of town, and his uncle always liked to frequent the flea market on the weekend. So he just decided to take Marvin. Of course, Marvin thought that the flea market were where you buy fleas. But when he went inside the flea market with his uncle, he saw a lot of things, a lot of treasures, and he got real excited. And they were passing by this booth, and Marvin likes to collect Batman statues. And he passed by this booth and saw this statue that he just had to have. And he asked his uncle about it, and his uncle questioned him like, "Oh, do you have any money for it?" And he was like, "Well, no." And his uncle tried to tell him, something, you have to purchase things in this flea market, and try to give him some advice about how, working, for a job, having a job to work to get things. So, Marvin was, like, well, I guess I won't be able to get this statue. But then the vendor who was selling the statue asked the uncle, can she use him to help stack her shelving with all the statues and everything else she had. And so in Marvin's mind was like, yeah, this is a job. I'm gonna get the money so I could buy the statue. So the whole time he just working his heart out. So when the uncle came back to get him after perusing the flea market, he thought that the vendor was going to pay him for helping. So they discussed with him, well, did we promise you money for this? And he was like, well, no, I guess not. So he didn't think he was going to get the statue. But then the vendor was like, well, you did work, but I didn't promise you any money, but here's your reward. And she gave him the statue. So basically he learned that you could do things, work, and it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get money for it, but you could get the things that you want for working.
Okay, good lesson. Go ahead. He said flea market. He thought he was selling fleas. No, baby. No, we're not doing that. Now, question, where do these Did you make it relative where these stories took place? Because I know you had here, we talked a little bit about the city scene, and I'm from New York. So right away I was like, oh, where's she at? She in the Lower East Side, or, so did you focus on a particular location, and why?
I always try to use I guess the inner city. I
Mhm.
have I think I went passed through New York maybe one or two times, but I have never really been inside New York. So
Okay.
that's a city that I am dying to visit. And so I let me do some research and see what I could use in the background for my book for this city.
Okay.
And that's why I used it. It's just a place that I just picked out that I chose.
Okay, cool. We love to show a city because it's a lifestyle that kids don't
Yes.
know about unless you expose them to it.
Right. And for me, growing up in a big city, so it was natural that I find a big city.
Right, no doubt about it. I'm so happy you did do that because it helps them enter into the and explore that world.
Yes.
Because it is a world to be explored. Believe me, the city has so many layers. My daughter has a children's book and it focuses on the city, and
Mhm.
it's just a certain something that kids in a city have exposure to. Even that parade that you showed reminded me of the Bud Billiken parade,
Right.
in
Hmm.
Chicago, and that's a very black parade, and it's right here on the south side of Chicago, and so it echoes things that are part of our upbringing, and where we
Right.
are,
Very
and
true.
so I'm glad you had those in there. Now, um, people, if you haven't seen, look at the bottom. She has a website where you can buy those books, PamelaDArthur.com. So I'm going to leave that up there so that you can visit those. They're on Amazon, no doubt about it. And we got a comment already this morning. My girl Zelda says, Grand Rising, awesome flea market story. Immediate and excellent lessons for the youth. Congratulations, great job.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Zelda. We can always depend on you to go ahead and tap into our authors that we bring on here in the morning. So thank you, no doubt about it. Now, was it intentional for you to focus on Black boys? Because both of your books focus on Black boys. Why? Why not girls?
Well, by these are my first two books. I have books in the making that also will focus on little Black girls also, but these are the first two that came to my mind. But I think it's more important for little Black boys, especially
Mhm.
because those are the main people who needs to have these type of lessons, so they could start off um, knowing about themselves. These are experiences that they have, and they don't understand what's going on. And I'm old school, and even though the world is evolving with all the technology and everything, I still think that children should have some type of experience in knowing what's going on inside them, their feelings, and sometimes they're not be able to talk it out, and sometimes they can't find a person to talk it out with. But if they have these books around them and they see themselves in the books and they're experiencing the character in the books is experiencing the same thing that they're experiencing, and it explains to them and they understand, and then they build that confidence, and um, then they'll be able to go through life a little bit more easily, or understanding, at least understanding what's going on with these feelings inside of them, the experiences that they're going through.
I was going to ask you about that, about, what was your inspiration for these specific stories? How did you come up with the stories themselves? Like, what made you choose the stories that you told?
Well, there were things in my childhood that I had questions about, that I couldn't understand, and I have a good memory of things that went on in my childhood.
Mm,
So I'm just taking little things out of my childhood that I experienced and I didn't that I understand now. So
okay.
I'm trying to incorporate into stories and books for the children of today, especially of today, so they won't um, have the lack of I guess understanding that I had as a child. So
Okay.
that's why I'm trying to write these type of books.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because the stories, they're not like extra, and they're nice and simple, but they have these lessons in
Right.
them that,
Mhm.
that are clear, and like I said, they're not like convoluted and a lot of details, but they're
Right.
very
I try
specific.
to keep it simple. Yeah.
Right, because and kids can learn and duplicate
Mm-hmm.
better when you do that. So I do thank you for that. Well, we are going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we are going to get into your other book, because I know you for this second book. And it's a strong book written for young adults. You guys don't go anywhere, because that house devoid of love is something else. And we are going to talk about that, but right after these messages. So don't go anywhere. Stay tuned.
The Soulful Chicago Book Fair, Woodlawn's premier summer event, returns to 61st Street between Cottage Grove and King Drive, Saturday, August 9th, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Join us for another celebration of literary works by and about the Black experience, featuring children's books, fiction books, and non-fiction works by local and international authors. The main stage will host an entertainment lineup second to none, with Pari Lemuel, Aniba and the Soul Stars, and the mesmerizing Moo Moo Fresh. Special guest, DJ Celeste. The community stage features a variety of family-friendly performances, such as DJ sets produced by IC Music, an organization that trains and promotes blind audio engineers. All this and more, Saturday, August 9th, free and open to all. Be there. Visit soulfulchicagobookfair.com for more information.
All right, there we are, y'all. Pamela gonna be at that with her books big time. So August 9th, you guys, I'll put our website at the bottom just so you can see what's going down. If you want to find out any details, contact us. Just go to soulfulchicagobookfair.com and get it. And come on through, connect with us. So Pamela, I love the work that you're doing. I love that you're employing confidence in the work that you're doing for our young people, that's the message that they get, how to persevere through issues, no matter how mild. But this second book, House Devoid of Love, it ain't mild, baby. Come on, let's talk about that. Now, this is a young adult book. Adults, of course, can read it, but why do you focus on young adults for this book?
Most of the stories about two sisters who started at the age, I think, around 9 or 10 years old through when they got out of high school. This book is loosely based on my childhood, and I did not intend to write this book, but this book was, when I wrote this book, it was kind of like a like therapy for me. I needed to get it out of my system, and it's mostly a lot of things in here in my life, in my childhood. A lot of things were changed, of course, but I just wanted to get the story out. So I took some things out of my childhood to write the story, for myself. So that's how this book came about. Like, this is my first book, and I just needed to get this book out, and then I could concentrate on my children's book.
Now, when you say get this book out, get it out your system, what was it that was in your system that you needed to complete?
I had a lot of questions. I still was a lot of things that were like triggering to me, things I didn't understand. Then the things I did understand, I needed to get it out of my off my heart, off my, clear my mind, and just write it out. It's kind of like writing a diary, like writing a diary. So this is kind of like my diary / my memoir / but I made it fiction because, like I said, I had to loosely base it on my childhood, just so I could just put some aspects in it. And I just changed some things around. The things I changed around is probably what I wanted it to end up like.
Okay.
Like how the outcome I wanted it to be.
Got you. Got you. Now, tell us a little bit about, because I do remember when you were promoting this, you guys, when you see her here, this is us at the Chicago Public Library downtown. She was one of our featured authors. And so they had the poster board on the easels, and you've had customers. What are customers saying about your work? What do they feel about the book? Why are they buying it?
A lot of all my customers were saying that it was a very good book and it was deep. And they really, I had a lot of people tell me that they couldn't put the book down. And it surprised me because I really did write this book from the heart. And I believe that a lot of people, since it was written from the heart, that it probably resonated on a lot of people. That's what I'm believing. And there were people that saying they really wanted to see a sequel, but the sequel wasn't in my heart. And I wanted to end the book on a good note, but they still want to follow the main characters, the sisters in the book. But I was trying to write a sequel, but I just couldn't. It wasn't in my heart to do it.
I know how that is, because people ask me to write like a sequel to my book, and I'm like, what? I already said everything. Like, I don't have nothing else to say about that, Now, what's the main issue on the table in House Devoid of Love? Because I think it's very important that you confronted some issues that a lot of Black women face big time. I'm going to put this comment up, and then I'm going to let you answer that. Zelda said again, wow, what a story. Thank you for allowing the messages to flow through you for the benefit of the culture. Awesome. You inspire more than you know.
Thank
you. Big time. Thank you, Zelda. Now, what is the issue on the table? Because all too often we confront this issue, but nobody is courageous enough to confront it. What are we dealing with?
Well, basically, the main issue of this is childhood abuses. Follow two sisters who when the parents split up and divorced, they were the sister removed from another state, away from their father to another state, and they live with their grandmother and their uncles and other relatives in this house. Of course, they really didn't know the relatives because they maybe a couple times in the years that they were alive that they came to visit, but they only stayed maybe a week or whatever. But when they came to this house, they had to get to know everybody. No one was comfortable with them living in this house. And so, the matriarch was in charge of the house. Their mother always worked and it was gone most of the time because she was trying to, I guess, from the divorce, she was trying to find herself again. So she trusted that her relatives would keep an eye on her kids and I guess show love, but that didn't happen. And so there were abuses that were in the house, emotional abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse. And the two sisters, they had younger siblings too, but these two sisters were close because they were close in age. So they took care of each other. They had to figure out things and do things to get by. And they had their challenges, of course. And so they had to hold each other up in order to get through what they had to get through living in this house.
Now, that is just too common, that we have so many situations where you have extended family members and then people in the house and, it's no harmony. You're supposed to go home and feel good, but many of our children go home and don't feel good because of how they're treated by the adults there. Now, do you think, was it the family against them because they had that situation and had to move in, or were they just mean people, or what? Did they have their own background that they were kind of reliving negativity towards these young girls? What was the situation?
Well, in this book, the mother of the siblings, she basically grew up not with her mother and her siblings. She basically grew up with her father.
Okay.
So basically, when the mother came with her children to the house, the mother also had to get to know her siblings, her mother. Again, she knew them, but she had to get closer to them and get to really know them again. So they didn't know how to handle, I guess, dealing with the mother and the children, because they were all used to being with each other, but here come this new family. And so I don't know if it was many things. It was uncertainty, jealousy, things of that nature, and they didn't know how to handle with this family. So there was a few mean ones, but there were a few that um just followed everybody else.
Mm-hmm. So from my understanding, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, because I do remember you speaking at the library, and what was that like? First of all, speaking at the library, because it wasn't a small thing. We had you up on the podium, baby, and going through House Devoid of Love. So what was the highlight of that experience in terms of what you shared?
Being able to talk about it. When you have something happen to you in your life, I would say tragically, or something that happened in your life, and you held it in for so long, and from a childhood, then you become this adult, and it was still festering. So being able to speak it out, that's just like I said, talking to somebody. So my audience at that library is like I was having like open therapy. You know how you have group therapy and everybody goes around a circle and get to say something about this and that. So
Okay.
that's how I felt like to me, and I felt, okay, I'm finally talking this out. I'm finally getting this out of my system and telling somebody about it. And that's how I felt.
That's very courageous. I mean, because one thing people don't realize, when you write a book, vulnerability is a thing. What? You vulnerable because you opening yourself up to the world. You know what I'm saying? It's and then you got to be prepared for what the world has to say about that, and the questions they want to ask you, and all of those things. Now, the thing that stuck out to me was this story, and correct me if I'm wrong. This is the part I was saying, correct me if I'm wrong. Was a preacher involved in some of that abuse of you guys? Talk about that, because that stuck out to me, because a preacher is usually somebody you trust, but then in this situation, that wasn't the case. Let me just put up this comment real quick. Naima Latif says, and she's the CEO of Female Solutions, she said, I need to get this book. This sounds so much like the lives of some people I know. No doubt about it. So go ahead. What was the issue with the preacher on the table?
Well, like I said, the two sisters, they had outlets away from the house. And one of their biggest outlets was going to the church. They actually grew up in the church, and they trusted this minister because the minister was always there, and they trusted the church. They loved the church, going to the church. And when you trust someone like the minister, you wouldn't think that a minister will prove that they really aren't trustworthy. It's shocking. And in the book, there was an incident where the youngest sister was cornered by the minister, and then it happened, sexual abuse. And the younger sister, she basically had the most faith. The older sister, she had faith also, but she took things like, well, I don't trust this, I don't trust that. We're just going to move along and take things as it is. Whereas the younger sister she just trusted folks. She believed in folks, and she didn't really think someone like a minister would betray that trust. But she learned that day that it could happen.
Unfortunately so. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately so. I think that the most abused people in the world are Black children, period. Because of the whoopings they get from their parents, from the sexual abuse. Molestation is crazy in our community. So I'm glad you had the courage to confront this. Now, young adults, why or what have you had young adults give you feedback about this book?
There were a few, but it was mostly adults
Mm-hmm.
that actually read the book, and I think I might have been like maybe like 3 young adults,
Okay.
and I mostly had a lot of adults give me feedback because I believe that they experienced some of these things from what they told me,
Mm-hmm.
and some adults told me that I had parts in this book where they cried. I had parts in the book where they laughed, and
Mm-hmm.
because I tried to keep I tried not to keep it all dark.
Right.
There was some fun things in my life, and there's some funny parts in my life. So I wanted to incorporate that's life. You still
Mm-hmm.
go through life, and you still have these happy moments, even though you have to, I guess, like someone will come to work, or I'm giving an example. Someone will come to work and they're being abused at home from their spouse, or a child will come to school and they're being abused at home, and the child at school is on the basketball team and into all these programs and just doing whatever, and you will never see from what they're doing that they're actually going through this. So that's why I wrote the books, because there could be some people that, okay, I went through this, and it was probably repressed. I believe that most of the time it was repressed for me, but I believe that this book actually brought it out for some of the adults that read it, and that's why they told me they just couldn't put it down, because I just kept it going and just really was real with the situations. And I didn't know if I wanted to even put the book out, because I was like, I don't know if this book gonna be acceptable, because back in the day you couldn't talk about it. There was
Mm-hmm.
no talking about it.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah.
And you did it. Now have you experienced any backlash from anybody that's similar to the characters in your book, where people were upset with you
No,
about
I
doing the book?
haven't. No, I haven't.
Good.
That was surprising. I haven't at all.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. And so what's your family say? I know you get a lot of family support.
Mhm,
Um, but did they have any feedback based on the things that the
mhm.
characters experienced, and maybe people that they knew in real life? Did they have anything to say about that,
On my
or
family members.
sure?
Well, I have a little sister. Um, she was like, I didn't know that this stuff was going on. She's
Mm,
like 10 years younger than me. She
okay.
said, I didn't know things like this was going on, and she was saying she cried, and on the book, and my older sister, the one who basically that was with me, she was like, oh, she said some parts I remember, some parts I didn't, you
Okay.
know, things like that. But they were very, very proud that I wrote the book. I think for my older sister and brother, I believe that me writing the book actually still helped them also get it
Mm.
out of their system, wherever they went through the what I wrote.
And that's what I love. Hold on, that's what I love. The fact you don't know sometimes how your book is going to impact the people in your life, or the
Mhm.
people that's not even in your life, and that's why you got to write it so that people could grow from it, right?
Right.
And see your courage, use your courage to help fortify themselves. So I'm so happy that that was a reality. Now, what's the future you see for House of Devoid? What would you like to see for its placement um, in society? What kind of role would you like to see it play?
Well, I don't want it to be I want the book to be able to get people out to explore what they not explore, but to talk about things that are taboo.
Mm,
A lot of things in this book were taboo because
mm,
no one ever wants to talk about it.
got you.
And I want this book to have people, to give people the courage to talk about what they're going through. It could
Mm,
be anything. It don't have to always be abusive, anything like that. It could be something that's inside them, that they need to talk about and get out. Rather they write about it, rather they paint it in a picture, rather they put it in music and song. And so I just want to give people the courage, to say what they need to say without being fearful about it. Because I was fearful about writing this book for a long time, but once I got it out, I just felt good. So I just want people to have that type of courage like I had.
Nice. And thank you for making the choice to be that beacon of light, to be the doggone exemplary person, because it takes a lot of courage to put this information out. I just finished a book and I'm like, Dad, will people like what I wrote, or will they see it as important? But you gotta not stay there. You gotta just do it, and go ahead and get it out and let it do as it may. So we're gonna take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll get into the future of your school age books, in addition to your role at the Soulful Chicago Book Fair and all of the above. So don't go anywhere, you guys. We'll be right back after these messages.
Hi, I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms.
And in case you didn't notice the resemblance, we're also three sisters.
We're going to be coming to you every week, sharing our successes and our mistakes as we navigate our lives as moms, wives, sisters, daughters, and of course, Black women in today's world.
We'll talk about it all: race, politics, religion, economics, culture, and we'll take a look at everything from whether or not to use corporal punishment to how do you teach your children about sex.
Look for our upcoming book, Growing Up Charles. It's a personal story about our lives growing up in Maple Park on Chicago's South Side. I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms. Follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Three Black Moms.
Hi, I'm Naima Latif, and if you're watching this, that means you're one of the 4.6 billion people from around the world who are using an electronic device to talk to people. In these times, people are using the internet to talk to everybody. Friends, neighbors, family members, co-workers. People are on their cell phones and computers all day long. Now, if you're in business, that is great news. That means you can sell your products and services all day long and never have to leave your home. All you need is a media connection, somebody to connect you to an audience. And that's why I'm talking to you today. We produce programs, and our audience members are people who shop. They buy clothes, food, beauty supplies, cleaning supplies, home repair, transportation services, child care services. Whatever you're selling, they need to buy it. We're your media connection. Just follow this link, and tomorrow you can sit back and relax at home while your business is making you money.
All right. Thank you guys for sticking with us. We are back. You are tuned in to Gathering of the Griots with Asada. Big time. There we go. Yep. And we are talking to Pamela D. Arthur, who is a children's writer. She deals with school age, but also deals with young adults. And so I want to say thank you again for being here, Pamela. And want to ask, what have been some of the challenges? Because there's the whole process of just writing, right? And making a decision who you're going to write for and all of that. But what have been some of the challenges you faced with either of the books that you've put out?
Well, with children, those are the hardest books, I believe, to write, because you have to really center into their mindset. When I had my home child care business, I had children from newborns all the way up to 6 years old, and you have to listen to them. You have to. When I was growing up, it was always a saying that a child is seen and not heard.
Mm-hmm.
But I made sure that when I had my child care, that I listened to the children. I even got down to their level on the floor, and I listened to their feelings. And we handle each child. I handle each child based on their personality, and not try to group them in all on one thing unless we were having a group activity. But and that was the basis of my child care, to handle each child based on their experience and what they're going through at that moment.
So in terms of the challenges, because I think that, like you said, it's hard to write for them because you have these things. Are there any kind of just mechanical challenges that took place? Because some people want to write, but they're a little afraid. They don't know how to do it. Like, did you face anything that you had to make some quick decisions about, or in your process?
Yeah, just for one, the subject matter. That's the
Okay.
main thing. And then the words, how to write the story. You have to write in the words that they understand, what they're hearing. Because you're as an adult, you could write the book how you know how to write it for yourself. But is it resonating with the child? Does the
Right.
child understand that word? Does the child understand that sentence?
Yes.
That scene. So you have to make sure you go back into a real realistically how that child is perceiving that information. So you have to make sure you be at that child's level when writing.
Got you. Got you. And now I know that you wonderful job on the illustrations, particularly for the books. They look wonderful.
Thank you.
And like, do you have the same illustrations for both Marvin's Treasure Hunt and Do Me?
Now they are two different illustrators.
Okay.
Different
Okay.
illustrators. I try to work with one illustrator. Sometimes you have to use several illustrators, because when you work with illustrators, if they can't see your vision, then you have to keep going until you find someone who sees your vision.
Nice.
Because illustrating is very important. Is just as important as the words, because children like to visualize. They like to see things, and it has to connect with the words that you write. It has to connect with everything.
That people seeing your vision, boy, Lord have mercy. I don't know. They need a manual on that.
Right. Yeah.
Because that is a thing. When you have somebody that matches your vision, it makes the process easier, because
Yeah.
you don't have a lot of explaining to do. They just see it and you feel good about that. So like, just like you had challenges, what are some of the triumphs that you've had with any of the books that really were victorious moments for you?
I guess when the first print comes out, and you're like, okay, now I have this in my hand. I see it. It's something that I've done, and I get excited. Like, okay, I can't wait till the children get this book in their hands, and I want to see their faces. I want to see them actually staring at the book and just looking through their mind. Like, what are they thinking? So that's exciting when you first get the book in your hand and you're like, okay, it's actually here.
Hey,
It's beautiful.
nice. Now, what about House Devoid of Love? What challenges and triumphs did you face with that? Because that was your first project.
Yeah.
And when did that come out? Did that come out? Did you say
That came out in 2017?
2017? So it was a year before you were at the book fair.
Yeah.
So what were some of the challenges with handling and developing that book?
I'm trying to find the right cover. Since that was my first book, I had a lot of I'm gonna say, I'm just like I said, a lot. There were a few people that didn't really like the cover, but since by that being my first book and being self-published, the illustrator I worked with, to me, when I saw the cover, it kind of like, okay, he got the part, where the girls in the book had the faith, and the house wasn't, a lot of stuff went on in the house. The house might look a little scary, whatever. So I understand some things, but like I said, I'm starting off, and I just the cover wasn't, to me, the cover at the time wasn't as important, or I'm gonna say not important, but I didn't concentrate so much on the cover than I did with the words inside. So the challenge was trying to get the cover right with this book. But and the other challenge, of course, was me trying to decide, do I want to put this book out? What would people say? What would family members say and things? So that was the most challenges.
I think that you did a wonderful job. I would not change not one thing about that cover. I mean, the reality is you got the concept. You got the two sisters, you got the church, and you got the house. Like, I think everything is there. Whoever had a problem with that, I don't know what they're talking about, because I really think you did a wonderful job. Yeah, definitely with that. And so what are some of the triumphs that you experienced with House Devoid of Love?
Oh, the feedback. The feedback. I mean, from everybody who actually purchased and read this book, the feedback. And like I said, I was really surprised when people wanted me to continue on with their story. And that really, and I'm like, oh, I wasn't ready for that, So I feel that I really, writing this book, not only helped me, but it opened up the eyes to all my readers, and they actually enjoyed the book and wanted me to continue it. So that was triumphant for me. Like, I was scared to put the book out, but when I did, I got this type of feedback. So that was triumphant for me.
Nice. So what's the ideal scene going forward? The ideal scene for each book. What would you like to see for the young adult books? What would you like to see for House of Devoid? The ideal scene. Think as big as you want. You ain't got to think small and what you think can happen, but what you actually would like to happen.
Well, for young adults, of course, I would like to continue to write books about everyday situations, about everything that young adults are going on with young adults today. But not by me being, of the older generation. To me, from what I experienced, from what I hear, a lot of young adults don't think or don't believe that their parents or grandparents actually went through the things that they're going through now. The only difference is that it's the same thing, but it's done differently. So I want to try to tap into the young adults to talk about the write about situations that's going on in today's society with them, to try to have them understand, how to get a solution to it, or how to cope with it, and how to talk about it. And that's what I want for the young adults. And as far as the children, of course, I want to have fun books, rhyming books, trying to explain, trying to get their experience out in the book for them to understand, and what's going on in their thinking, and what's trying to explain to them what's going on with this situation, because a lot of them don't understand. So I want to write the books whereas they read it and see themselves and like, oh, okay, well, that's me. And so they could begin to feel confidence and feel good about anything that's going on with them. And of course, I want to keep with the children's book and give out educational materials. So I just want to keep it going with all type of literacy when it comes to the children and them understanding life. We're growing up as a child. I want to keep it whereas they grow up as a child, keep everything a child until they grow into adults, because in this society today, the children are growing too fast. And I just want to keep it whereas a child, it's okay for a child to still be a child and don't have to worry about, I have to be a grown up.
Absolutely. I see your young adult books. I see read-alongs in schools. I see them buying copies for all the kids, and then them doing read-alongs, taking turns reading the book, identifying with them. And I see that happening in multiple schools, period. That's what I'm saying. When I say the ideal scene, baby, in every school in Chicago, then every school in the Midwest, that type of thing. And with the House Devoid of Love, I think so important for young adults to have books that they can relate to, because people don't write for that age group. And that's like when young people are coming into adulthood and they're doing adult things or being exposed to adult things, but nobody is addressing the fact that they know these things and that they're being exposed to these things and that there is a solution, there is a better way, right? And so the ideal scene there to me is like, you know, you connecting with YWCA groups and young mothers groups and, you know, all of these different groups where these issues may have been on the table because they need guidance, you know, period, point blank. So we only have a few minutes left, but what's some of the advice you want to give to our listeners out there? Things that, based on any of the books, you know, who you talking to, what's some of the advice you want to give them? One, content-wise, but also mechanically, because the publishing company you with, is that your publishing company?
Yes, it is.
What's the name of that publishing company?
Well, the House Devoid of Love was written underneath Pen Scribe Publishing. The children books is written under Moppet Land Publishing House.
Okay, and that's yours.
Yes.
Got you. And so how do you spell that?
Moppet Land is MOPPETLAND Publishing House.
Is that a website?
I'm still working on that website.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm still working on it because I'm trying to decide do I want to just keep it under for my books? I was playing around with the idea of accepting others underneath there and working with them as
I was going to ask you that. I was going to ask if other people can come under that, but that's what it is. Moppet Land Publishing House, guys, at the bottom. You'll be able to look at the website for that soon. But just give some advice. We got like 2 more minutes. Give some advice to your readers about why your books. Why should they get your books on August 9th?
Well, for the children's book, the books have lessons. You will love my books because it's fun. There's lessons. There's not a lot of preaching, but there are lessons. And usually when people buy books and they say this too much preaching, or what type of morals, you know, at the end and this and that, and these are simple lessons, fun lessons. Like in Doing Me. He's a fun boy, energetic boy. And the lessons is simple, you know, just continue doing you. You know, things will happen, whereas you might not could use your energy all the time, but things will always come up, whereas you could get back in there and just be energized. And then in the other, in Marvin's Treasure Hunt, it was fun for him to learn about what the flea market was, and, you know, not just fleas, you know. But he was able still to obtain the things that he want. But he learned the lesson of that if you work hard if you work hard, you can still obtain what it is that you really want.
There we have it, y'all. Pamela, I just want to say thank you, my love, for being here. I love your books. You're a great writer. You guys look forward to seeing Pamela big time August 9th. And yeah, we're going to rock and roll. Be sure you can get her books even before then, though, at the website. I'm going to put it one more time at the bottom, PamelaDAuthor.com. And thank you for being here today, my love.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, and thank you guys for being here for Gathering of the Griots. Take care, and we're going to close out with a good old word from the Female Solution. Peace. Thanks for being here, guys.
We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, ngiyabonga. Senegal, Jareth. Kenya, Asante. Israel, Toda. Pakistan, Shukriya. Afghanistan, Tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, Shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.